Today's Dharma message will be given by Reverend Jiko.
Good morning, everyone. Aloha. Thank you so much for being here. And I wish to thank Barb Shoshin for always making beautiful leis. Thank you for this lei, and thank you for the beautiful lei for Bishop Komagata.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And I thank Joyce, too. She always provides beautiful leis and the offering flowers for every occasion. So thank you to Joyce Yuko. So, my story today begins with a tree. A tree that's been standing very close to this temple for a number of decades. It's standing at the north corner of Daifukuji. When you go outside, please go and take a look. So I am talking about Daifukuji Soto Mission's Bodhi Tree. Are you familiar with Bodhi trees? The historical Buddha Shakyamuni attained a great awakening under a Bodhi tree in what is now Bodh Gaya, India, over 2,500 years ago. Thus, this tree, Ficus religiosa, is called the Tree of Enlightenment. Since becoming the minister of Daifukuji 21 years ago, I've often looked at that tree and wondered, I wonder who planted this tree? I wonder when it was planted. This tree has beautiful heart-shaped leaves with long pointed tips. And their leaves are quite elegant. I used one today in the blessing of the Dogen Zenji and Keizan Zenji sculptures. So Bodhi trees can reach really great heights and spread out their branches in all directions. And so the Daifukuji tree, because it's standing so close to the temple and our handicap ramp and the gutters, our tree has to be pruned back from time to time. In fact, the last pruning was done in July. So if you go out and look at it, it's not so tall and not so full now, but the leaves look very healthy. So only recently has the story of this tree been revealed to me in mysterious and wondrous ways. So in 2013, Deacon Amy, Jikai, and I met a remarkable woman by the name of Dr. Patricia Masters, who was invited to speak at the Hawaii Association of International Buddhist Buddha Day service held at the Kona Honganji Buddhist Temple. In fact, Dr. Masters stayed overnight here at Daifukuji because she came the night before her talk. So Dr. Masters, we called her Pat, now deceased, was a professor of Buddhist studies who had taught in Japan, Sri Lanka, India, and also Hawaii. She was a vibrant woman with tremendous knowledge, full of aloha, and it was Dr. Masters who made an amazing discovery. In 1996, Dr. Masters was teaching in Bodh Gaya, India, when she went to Sarnath for the very first time. Sarnath was the place where the Buddha gave his first teachings in approximately 528 BCE. In Sarnath, Dr. Masters visited the Mula Gandakuti Temple. And it was there in the entranceway to the temple that she noticed a marble plaque inscribed with these very words. Right there at the entrance, she saw this big marble plaque. Mula Gandakuti Temple, erected by the Anagarika Dharmapala, founder and general secretary of the Mahabodhi Society, with the generous help of Mrs. Mary Elizabeth Foster of Honolulu and others on the site where Lord Buddha promulgated the teachings 2,500 years ago. Mary Elizabeth Foster of Honolulu. Who was she? Dr. Masters herself had lived in Honolulu for over 40 years and did not know who Mary Elizabeth Foster was. Although the name Foster kind of struck a bell, and she thought, Foster Botanical Garden in Honolulu. So in this book, which we have in our library and also our gift shop downstairs, it's called Searching for Mary Foster, Dr. Masters relates the following. So this is at Sarnath, at the temple. The inner sanctum held a young monk attending to the altar. Startled by my Sri Lankan greeting, Ayubowan, he turned. I explained I was from Honolulu, but was unfamiliar with the Mary Foster from the plaque. And the young monk said to her, Madam, you must be knowing her. She was a wonderful person to whom we Buddhists owe a great deal. The monk's words set Dr. Masters on this fantastic journey to find out who this wonderful Mary Foster was, to whom we Buddhists owe a great deal. Mary Elizabeth Mikahala Robinson Foster. Have you heard of her? Perhaps like Dr. Masters, you've heard of Foster Botanical Gardens in Honolulu, which is located near the Soto Mission of Hawaii on Nuuanu Avenue. I had gone by it many times, yet never had the chance to explore its grounds and huge collection of plants until 2 weeks ago. Had a chance to go to Honolulu for my aunt's funeral, and I asked my family if we could go to Foster Gardens. So this is another picture of Mary Elizabeth Mikahala Foster. So by reading Dr. Masters' book, Searching for Mary Foster, and also listening to some YouTube lectures that she gave on the topic, I have now discovered Mary Foster for myself, and now consider her one of Hawaii's remarkable Dharma treasures. In fact, a Dharma treasure to whom I feel I owe a great deal. My mission today is to introduce Mary Elizabeth Foster to all of you and to honor her memory at this time of Ohigan, a time when we remember our departed loved ones and ancestors. Mary Elizabeth Mikahala Robinson Foster was born on September 21st, 1844, and died on December 29, 1930, at the age of 86. During her life of 86 years, she was a Hawaiian philanthropist and known as the first Native Hawaiian Buddhist. She donated her private gardens, the Foster Botanical Garden, to the city of Honolulu upon her passing. She was very good friends with Queen Liliuokalani, who in 1893 was overthrown by American soldiers and imprisoned at Iolani Palace. She was one of the 2 people who were permitted to visit the Queen during her imprisonment. She had a long and deep friendship with Bishop Emyo Imamura of the Hompa Honganji, and she donated the land for the Hompa Honganji Mission of Hawaii, which now stands along Pali Highway. And if you've seen the Ho'oponopono mission of Hawaii, you'll see that it is a magnificent Buddhist temple. It was this friendship with Bishop Imamura that helped pave the way for Buddhism to be accepted in our land of Hawaii, where it was at first as a religion of Japanese immigrants regarded with suspicion. Mary Foster was a philanthropist who funded scholarships at Kamehameha schools, helped Native Hawaiians who were unable to afford medical care, acquired land for the purpose of enabling Native Hawaiians to live in places that would otherwise have been purchased by foreign investors. Mary Foster is revered by the people of Sri Lanka, India, and Southeast Asia for her generosity and support of Buddhism, as well as for the temples, hospitals, and clinics which were established due to her great generosity. In these places, even today, prayers are offered in gratitude to Mary Foster, and her birthday is celebrated annually. Yet little is known of her here in Hawaii. For this reason, I feel compelled to share her story, especially with Buddhist communities and sanghas here in Hawaii. Mary Elizabeth Mikahala Robinson Foster's father, who founded a large shipbuilding company in Honolulu, was British. Her mother was of French and Hawaiian ancestry from a family that dated back to the ali'i from Maui and Hawaii Islands. And Mary was very proud of her Hawaiian ancestry. When Mary was 16, she married Thomas R. Foster, who unfortunately died in 1889, leaving her widowed and childless at the age of 45. What was truly remarkable about Mary was that from an early age, she had an interest in religions and spirituality outside the faith in which she was raised. Amazingly, she turned to spirituality after the death of her husband. She invited spiritual teachers from around the world to give talks at her beautiful home in Honolulu. But after her husband died, she found herself in a deep state of depression and emotional pain, caused not only by her husband's passing, but she was also troubled by the treatment that her dear friend, Queen Liliuokalani, and the treatment of the native Hawaiian people, the treatment that they had received. She was introduced to a man named Anagarika Dharmapala. He was a Sri Lankan Buddhist, an activist. So this is an important figure too in Mary Foster's story. So this man, Anagarika Dharmapala of Sri Lanka, was a very devout Buddhist. He had a chance to travel to India, and when he went to Bodh Gaya, the site of the Buddha's great enlightenment, he was so dismayed to see that it was in a state of absolute shambles and neglect. He made it his mission in his life to restore Bodh Gaya as a place of pilgrimage for Buddhists around the world. So, in 1893, he was given an opportunity to speak at the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago. He spoke about Bodh Gaya, and he put out a plea to all those in attendance saying, if you can help financially to help me restore Bodh Gaya as a place of pilgrimage for Buddhists around the world, I would be most grateful. On his way back to Sri Lanka, his ship docked in Honolulu Harbor. He was connected with Mary Foster, and the two became immediate friends and lifelong friends. Mary Foster boarded the ship that Anagarika Dharmapala was on in Honolulu Harbor. He shared with her his dream to restore the ownership of Mahabodhi Temple to the Buddhists of the world, and thus establishing the Mahabodhi Society, which would restore Bodh Gaya. So it was on this ship that Mary Foster listened to Anagarika Dharmapala tell her about Bodh Gaya. Thus began their lifelong friendship of mutual respect and admiration. It was also on board the ship in Honolulu Harbor that Dharmapala gave Mary Foster some teachings on mindfulness meditation to help her cope with her anger and depression. Thus, Mary Foster encountered the Buddha Dharma and began a meditation practice on board the ship. It's such a remarkable story. If you're interested, you can look for this book, Searching for Mary Foster. Well, I could tell you all about this remarkable friendship, but today I need to bring you back to the Bodhi Tree before lunch. So several years ago, a man named Dr. D. Denver, department head of the Department of Integrative Biology at Oregon State University, stopped by Daifukuji. He was studying the DNA of Bodhi trees throughout the state of Hawaii and wished to collect a sample from our temple's tree. In July of this year, Jasley Crowley, PhD, ethnobiologist studying under Dr. Denver, came to Daifukuji from Kauai and Oahu, where she had been studying the Bodhi trees on those islands. Ms. Crowley confirmed that according to DNA genetics testing results, Daifukuji's Bodhi tree is a propagate clone of the original Tree of Enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, India. How did this happen? How did a Keiki descendant of the celebrated original Bodhi tree under which the Buddha attained enlightenment come to Hawaii and to Daifukuji? It turns out that as an expression of his profound gratitude to Mary Foster, thanking her for her generosity and deep friendship, Anagarika Dharmapala had a cutting from the Bodhi tree in Sri Lanka, which was a descendant of the original Bodhi tree, shipped to Mary Foster, who had it planted in her garden in Honolulu in 1913. After this tree in Foster Gardens was established, and it is still there today, standing magnificently near the garden's entrance, cuttings from the tree in Foster Garden were given to many Buddhist temples in Hawaii. So here is Amy standing under the magnificent Bodhi tree at Foster Gardens in Honolulu. We took this 2 weeks ago. It's a really magnificent tree. So, no one remembers when the cutting was brought to Daifukuji. But fortunately, the plant took root in Kona's rocky lava soil and grew until it towered over the temple, and we had to have it pruned back. But looking at its trunk, Jasly said she estimates our tree to be about 60 years old. And that's sort of my guess. I guess that around the time of the late Bishop Matsuura, who had served our temple, I kind of thought it was around that time the Bodhi trees were brought to different temples in Hawaii. So the web of connections that hold us together on this planet are infinite. Daifukuji's Bodhi tree directly connects Daifukuji and all of us to Mary Elizabeth Mikahala Robinson Foster, to Anagarika Dharmapala of Sri Lanka, whose vision became a reality after his death because of how Bodhgaya has been restored. This tree also connects us to the Buddha. For 2,500 years ago, a tree provided shelter and shade for a seeker of the truth named Siddhartha Gautama. It was this tree that witnessed his great enlightenment under her branches. And today, a descendant stands on our grounds, connecting us always to the Buddha Shakyamuni. We are all intimately connected in ways we cannot even imagine. People we have never met, trees, animals, the earth herself, the planets and stars, are all our relatives, all our ancestors, all part of the great story we call life. If only we can awaken to this truth, life on this planet would be different from what it is today. So in closing, thank you for listening to a long story. I share with you a plaque that's going to be placed at the foot of our Bodhi tree. And thanks to Barb Shoshin, who ordered it for us. And the wording, this wording on the plaque was provided by Jasly Crowley, the biologist. The Buddha attained enlightenment beneath the Bodhi tree, Ficus religiosa, more than 2 millennia ago in what is now Bodhgaya, India. Gifting propagative cuttings from the exact Tree of Enlightenment to Buddhist temples is a tradition that began hundreds of years ago and has continued to this day. According to oral histories and now reinforced by genetic testing, there is evidence that this tree is a propagate clone of that original Tree of Enlightenment. So, Warren is going to build a stand for us for this plaque under our Bodhi tree. So, once it is up, please go and visit the tree. So thank you for listening to today's long talk. But you know, I feel it's so important that we Buddhists here in Hawaii know who Mary Mikahala Robinson Foster is. We do owe her a great deal. So, thank you. Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. We take refuge in the Buddha. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in the Sangha. Namu Shakyamuni.